Can you imagine finding something that could change the very way you live and then just give it up? Sometimes change is good, and sometimes it isn't. But to many people, it may seem unfathomable or even stupid. But these people found huge treasures, and rather than keeping it, they returned it. Number 10. For years, Matthew and Maria Colonna thought a rusty old metal box in the back of their Staten Island home was just part of an old cable or electric box. But it wasn't. When they decided to dig the box up to replace some damaged trees and shrubs, they discovered it was an old safe. Inside, they found hundreds of dollar bills, gold, jewelry, diamonds, in total worth over $52,000. There was also a piece of paper with an address on it, which happened to be their neighbor's. Matthew knocked on the neighbor's door and asked if they had ever been robbed. Yes, the day before Christmas, 8 years past, was the answer. With that, Matthew returned the safe and all the valuables. Number 9.
Oh, this place was full of cops and attorneys this morning.
Robert Rivera of Houston's Robbie's Key and Lock received an old safe from a scrap collector who had received the safe from an estate. The collector asked Robert if they could crack the safe because he was unable to. After a few days, Robert was finally able to crack the old safe.
I mean, if he never would have brought it here, they would have trashed it. Nobody would have ever known.
And inside, he discovered a treasure trove. Millions of valuables, along with millions of dollars in gold and coins. Robert contacted the police, and the executor of the deceased man's estate immediately staked a claim on the safe and the contents discovered inside. Number 8.
We're in awe.
New Platt's New York roommates Laura Russo, Callie Gosti, and Reese Workhoven purchased the old thrift store's couch for $55. When they got it home, they noticed the couch was oddly lumpy and unzipped an arm cushion and discovered a bubble-wrapped envelope. Inside the envelope was $4,000 in cash. But that wasn't everything. They found several more envelopes hidden throughout the couch. When it was all said and done, the roommates recovered $41,800 from the couch. Mixed in with the money was a single deposit slip with a woman's name on it. Workhoven called the woman, and it turns out she had recently been hospitalized, and her family donated her couch to the Salvation Army, unaware of the fortune that was inside of it. The roommates drove to her house the next morning and returned all the money.
This was her life savings.
Number 7. While going about his cart collecting duties, Bismarck Mensah, a Walmart employee from Federal Way, Washington, found an envelope containing $20,000 in cash. He realized it was left in the cart by a woman who was just driving away. Quickly, he chased her down and returned the money. The money belonged to a couple who had stopped by Walmart after getting the cash from a finance company as down payment on a house. Mensah refused to take any reward money. He currently earns around $9 an hour working at Walmart. Number 6. A janitor at Incheon International Airport in South Korea was going about his duties when he discovered solid gold bars wrapped in newspaper lying at the bottom of a trash can he was emptying. They were worth 7 million won, or approximately $65,000. The janitor, who wished to remain anonymous, turned the treasure over to the police, fearing that it was most likely connected to some sort of crime. In South Korea, there is a finder's keeper's law, which says that anyone who turns in an item to the police is entitled to keep it if the item isn't claimed after 6 months. Considering the janitor was most likely right about the gold being connected to a crime, it is likely they will never be claimed. Number 5. In 2012, a man went to his local book exchange in Marlborough, Massachusetts. The exchange allowed locals to bring in their old red books and exchange them for an equal amount of books to take home and read. When the man got into his car with his newly exchanged books, he opened and skimmed through the pages. To his astonishment, he discovered a hollowed-out book containing $20,000 in cash. Instead of keeping the secret and the cash, he contacted the local news, saying if the true owner contacted him, he would give it back. To prove they were the owner's treasure, all they had to do was tell him the name of the book the treasure was found in. Number 4. Jeff and Michelle Green of Rincon, Georgia, saw a bag of money on the side of a highway. Upon pulling over to investigate, they discovered the bag contained $25,000 in cash. The Greens immediately contacted the police, who were already searching for the lost money. Turns out, a local convenience store owner pulled over on the highway to take a call, and once he was finished, he somehow left the bag of money he was going to deposit on the roof of his car and drove off. Number 3. Mike Rogers, an employee at Bluegrass Recycling in Burlington, Kentucky, was cleaning an old parts bin when he noticed green at the bottom of the bin. What he found was $22,000 in old U.S. savings bonds that ranged from $50 to $500 each. Instead of keeping the bonds for himself, Rogers and his wife did some research and discovered they were purchased by a woman named Martha Dobbins for a Robert Roberts. So, Rogers did what any of us would have done and contacted all of the Robert Roberts in the country, asking them one simple question. Did they know a woman named Martha Dobbins? Finally, 82-year-old Robert Roberts said yes, she was his deceased mother. Turns out she had been secretly purchasing savings bonds for Roberts, and when she passed away, nobody knew about it, and gave the old coffee can she stored the bonds in to the local recycling plant. Number 2. Noah Murhoff purchased an old desk off of Craigslist for $150, and when he got home with the desk, he quickly discovered it wouldn't fit through the door, as he took the desk apart and inside was $98,000. The next day, Murhoff returned the money to the woman he purchased the desk from. The woman was shocked. She said, "You could have kept the money, and nobody would have ever known." Number 1. Glenn James, a homeless Boston man, was heralded as an honest guy after returning a backpack he found containing $40,000. Upon discovering the cash, James turned the backpack over to the police. The police were able to identify the owner of the backpack, who was visiting from China and had luckily left his passport in the bag as well. A GoFundMe page was established for the homeless man that raised more than $150,000. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more treasure stories, check out the playlist here.